I want to first say good afternoon to all who are gathered here today. I wanted to take this opportunity to arm you with the facts, as I always try to give you the facts of what I know. And when it comes to everything that we do in city government, more specifically, when we're dealing with crimes, and especially those that involve young people. I want to first say that I want to give my condolences to the families of the young lady. It's hard anytime, at any age. And as a father of four, I'm a father of a 13-year-old. I can't imagine that part of my life or that person would not be in my life today. So we have our condolences goes out to the family. But anytime that we have a death in this community, it's hard for us to deal with. And when the more and more that I get older, I'll be honest with you, the older I get, the harder it is for me to realize that the younger children, the younger generation, they deserve the adults to give them the best opportunity in life. 13-year-old, our job is to make sure that they get an opportunity to be a mother, a grandmother, to see life and all that it has to offer. I was asked just the other day by a group of students when I was speaking about what I do, and then I usually give a story about who I am, and then I talk about the job of being mayor, and then the one opportunity is I give them an opportunity to ask questions of me. And the question the one young man asked, he said, "What's the hardest part of your job?" And I start thinking about what it is. And as I started this journey in January of 2018, I probably had a different thought. And in 19, I had a different thought. But in 2023, I truly know right now, the harder part of this job is when our children are taken away from us at a young age because our adults are not being responsible adults. Our job as adults are to be responsible to our children, and we have to maintain that no matter where we are and who we are. We need to make sure that the next generation has an opportunity to thrive and to be a productive citizen in life. So I since said, that is hard for me. And when you talk to a group of young people, they don't understand what that means. My grandmother used to tell me, just keep living, son. And that's what we need to make sure our children are just have an opportunity to keep living. We owe that to them, to the media, to the community, to those that are here. We all have a part to play in this. We need to make sure that we continue to give an opportunity to educate what good parenting looks like, to educate what's responsibility look like, to educate, to make sure that we know that family values cannot be thrown out the door, and we just can't take up what society says is the right thing. We have to continue to do what we know is the right thing, is to make sure our next generation is thriving. And at this time, I would like this opportunity to have Chief Davis come in and say a few words about what we know and arm you with the facts about what's going on with this case.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to echo pretty much what the mayor just said. In the Youngstown Police Department, we can and have put in place strategies and initiatives to combat crime. We can plan to address and prevent large gatherings when bars dismiss. But last night, I arrived on the scene at about 1:30 a.m. and I cannot prepare or predict that a 13-year-old child would be out at 1 a.m. in the morning partying with irresponsible adults. When I got on the scene, I noticed a trail of cups, empty alcohol bottles, just suggesting that there was some irresponsible things going on here, and a 13-year-old child should not have been part of that. That disturbs me probably more than anything I've seen in my career. At this time, I'm going to have Lieutenant Muhammad Awad come, and he'll give you some more details on what happened and some developments in this case.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, today I address you with a heavy heart and a deep sense of sorrow. Last night, on May 19, 2023, at approximately 12:30 in the morning, a tragedy unfolded on Carroll Street. A 13-year-old girl London Jones lost her life in a senseless act of violence. This incident has shaken our community to its core, and we mourn the loss of a young life filled with potential and dreams. Our dedicated team of detectives and crime lab personnel swiftly responded to the scene, commencing a thorough investigation. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Detective Nick Bailey and Detective George Anderson in the back left-hand corner for their tireless efforts in bringing justice to this case. Since arriving at that scene at 1 a.m., they have worked tirelessly, following leads and gathering evidence, and that ultimately led to the arrest of Shamara Chantel Green for the murder of London Jones. But today I stand before you with a plea for us to address the underlying issues that have contributed to this tragedy. We cannot keep turning a blind eye to the factors that led our children down dangerous paths. It is disheartening to learn that London Jones was out late on a school night, accompanied by her mother and a group of adults who were drinking and engaged in irresponsible behavior. While we hold the perpetrator accountable for their actions, it is crucial for us to reflect upon our own responsibility as parents, guardians, and community members. We must ask ourselves why a 13-year-old was out at such an hour, exposed to an environment that eventually led to this loss. We cannot continue to put our children in harm's way and expect positive outcomes. Furthermore, I want to address the disturbing lack of truthfulness we encountered during our investigation. Multiple adults lied to us about the events that unfolded last night. When the life of an innocent 13-year-old is taken, it should be a wake-up call for us to prioritize truth and cooperation. We cannot bring London back, but we can work together to prevent such tragedies in the future. Let this be a turning point for our community, a moment where we come together not only to seek justice, but to foster an environment of safety, accountability, and responsibility. It is through our collective efforts that we can create a society where our children are protected, nurtured, and given an opportunity to thrive. I'd like to add, in addition to that, this is the second time within the past month or so where we've encountered a juvenile being murdered and the adults at that event lying to us. Where numerous people saw what occurred, but nobody wanted to tell us the actual truth of what happened. For the year, we have 5 homicides, and every one of our victims is under 22. We currently have 3 of the 5 solved, including the last 2 with the 2 young girls, and we are working on the double homicide on 680. We do know who was in the vehicle. We do have the information, but we have yet to bring charges forward. So again, my detectives are working, the Youngstown Detective Bureau are working hard on that case and on every case we encounter. But we were fortunate that we had those 2 detectives, Nick Bailey and George Anderson, working again at the 12-hour mark since they've been called out. And they haven't so much as taken a break. This is the first time they've actually went up for air. We've executed 4 search warrants, and we are gathering more evidence on this case. Right now, I just want to open the floor for questions, if anybody has any. Joe had his hand up first.
I have a couple questions. First of all, what led to this woman firing a gun?
There was a fight, and there was a disagreement, and
Was it a fight amongst the adults, or was it a fight?
a fight amongst the adults, yes. A fight amongst the adults, a disagreement, a melee in the street, and then our perpetrator decided to pull a gun into this event.
Did anybody else fire a gun?
We're still trying to gather information.
Are there any other suspects in this case?
Right now, as of no, but we're still investigating and we're still open to the possibilities. Yes, Corey.
Will the parents be facing any charges?
That's still pending. We're still looking at all the circumstances and the totality of the events that happened last night.
Is it safe to say that the victim was not the incident?
That is correct. The victim was completely innocent, was out there on a school night. I'd like real quick before I'd like to touch on it. What's the best outcome of that? Taking your 13 and your 14-year out for drinking 12:30 in the morning. What is the best possible outcome? I don't understand that. As a recent parent myself, I don't get it. You stop drinking at 1 o'clock and then you drive drunk home with those kids and hope that you get home so they can go to school the next morning. Is that the best possible outcome these parents were looking at last night? So I don't get it. I don't understand. I can't give you why. I don't understand. But regarding the parents are still under investigation.
I know you kind of touched on this a little bit as far as the age goes, but 4 out of the 5 homicides this year are teenagers.
Yes.
Can you just speak, is this unusual to see this many young people being affected in this?
Absolutely, it's unusual during my time here. We do have a significant amount of violence with juveniles, but this year it seems as if, like you said, 4 of the 5 are under 18. I can't give you an answer to why that is. I don't know why. I can't give you an answer why. Yes, Joe.
I'm just curious, was London, was she in the yard, was she in the street, was she on the sidewalk, was she on the porch?
She was on, out from what we gather, she was on the sidewalk near a car towards the street.
Yeah,
She was
how
in
many
the grass
other
area.
How many other kids were at this park or at this
We,
gathering?
as of right now, we are certain that London and her sister were there. A lot of people fled prior to the police arrival. When the gunshots rang, numerous people fled. Yes.
When is Green planned to be arraigned?
We have that information? When is Green planned to be arraigned? Today is Friday, so probably Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah, Monday or Tuesday.
Monday or Tuesday.
Do you know how many shots were fired and how many?
We recovered 8 casings. We recovered 8 casings.
Do you know how many wounds London suffered from?
We'll wait till the autopsy, but London was, I don't even want to release the information. We'll wait till the autopsy comes out. I don't want to talk about that.
Did she pass on at the scene? Or
She was transported to the hospital where she was pronounced deceased.
Did you have to, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We know how many adults may have even been there or how many were involved in the melee.
We can't give an estimate, but we spoke to some of the homeowners in the area, and they said this seems to be a common occurrence where there's like a mini block party will occur where people are drinking outside, and they may mention how they locked their doors just in case something like this happened. So there was more than a handful there. Joe, you were going to follow up?
Yeah, I was just curious. I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Anybody else?
Must not have been that important, Joe. We'll catch you later. Anything else? Thank you guys for so much. And if I could, let me ask you this. Let me ask the media and all the public right now to respect this family. Please don't chase them down. Don't look for them. If you've ever lost anyone, there's a grieving process. And I say this all the time, yet sometimes you guys don't hear me. Let this process play out for this family. If you're on the other side of the camera, you would want the same. I'm not pointing at any one particular, but there's a point in time this family needs to grieve, and I can't imagine where they are, what space they're in right now, and just let's do that. Please, can we do that?
Mayor, with the weather warming up, summertime coming, just your message to anyone who may be looking to have a late night party, summer party, outdoors, things like that.
We always say the parties shouldn't be unregulated, and they should be done responsibly. If you're having a block party, there is a permit process for having a block party in the city of Youngstown. That hasn't changed. That's been around for years, and that goes through the right channels. At 1 o'clock, that we don't issue permits at that time. There's a limit. There's curfews. There's time to have fun, and we got graduation seasons coming up. We got wedding seasons coming up. We just ask that the adults, and here we are. We're talking about adults being responsible for our next generation. So I just ask that, Joe.
I remember my question.
There you go.
Was Shamira caught? Was she questioned at the scene? Did she flee? Did you guys have to look for her? How did that happen?
We're not going to get into details, but we interviewed her multiple times. We did speak to her last night and today too. So,
what was the this is the last question? What was the relationship between? I'm not saying that she did this on purpose. Just there was a reason why all these people were together. What was the relationship between Shamira and, say, London's family?
Shamira was the friend of London's mother.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing else. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you so much.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay Watson. Thanks for watching the WKBN 27 First News YouTube channel. If you want more video news, subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the WKBN 27 First News app for breaking news alerts.